chat. We are here with our hosts, Shem, Amandi, Blessed, and Corey. And we are so grateful that you're able to join us today, whether you're catching us on the replay or catching this live. Again, we're getting ready for our event on March 29th, where we will be talking about the nature of the construct and everything that entails. So these weekly chats have been kind of getting us ready for that event and getting us ready for that chat. So welcome everyone. So what we want to talk about today. So last week after our live, Bless came up with a question and had us on for like 2-3 hours, and we thought this would be perfect for the live. And the question was, I'm going to paraphrase it, but Bless may want to have to re-say it. Was, what's the one thing if you heard would actually blow your mind or blow your understanding of reality? So, we all have these no-go zones in our belief systems. Whatever it could be, flat earth, aliens, whatever, anything, right? At this point, I feel like those are normal things. They're not even now out there.
Right.
Yeah.
But what would it be like if you woke up one day and you found out that this thing you absolutely believe to be true 100% was not, or it was true in a different way? And how would you process that? All right, I'm gonna open that up for whoever wants to take it first.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
go Bless, considering that
sure.
you
Well,
dropped the bomb on us last meeting
I can
and
just
we were there for aeons.
right.
Oh, do you know what? He never quite answered, didn't he?
You
Didn't
didn't
he?
answer.
No, I never did. Everybody else
Go
took
on
it and
then.
ran with it. It was that's how you know you got a beautiful question. You just sit back and just watch the chaos. But one of my first ones I would say was honestly just learning about like the nature of this place, like what you're told in terms of what NASA has to say about things, and being like dyed in the wool all about it, into space, like big sci-fi nerd growing up and all that, right? And then even just to learn a few different little tidbits that seem to check out a lot more than what I had learned before with regard to the nature of this place physically, kind of dropped the bottom out of my reality for a little while. It's like, there's no way, like, oh my God, like, what does this mean? Does that mean we're like in a big aquarium or something? Like, big terrarium? Like, is somebody looking at us out there? Like, I don't know, all these existential questions came flooding in because of it. So that was definitely one of my no-go zones way back in the day. And then I just blew it wide open and had my moment with it, let's say. It's unpleasant, but I'd much rather know the truth than not, ultimately. So yeah, what about you guys?
I'll tell you what my one was. My one was the Cabbage Patch Kids,
Ooh,
which I kind of
we
spoke
going
about to Melekta yesterday. But the way I was introduced to it was I was growing up and the Cabbage Patch Kid was just a doll, right? It was just this kind of weirdy kind of doll that grew out of cabbage, and you just accepted it. And it was like, yeah, well, dolls don't come from cabbages, so who cares? Like, and then it was like, whatever. And then it was literally like finding out like Barbie's real. It's that type of thing. And it was just, then I started looking into architecture, history, stuff like that, because I've always loved old architecture. And then that brought me to timelines. And then that brought me to who built all of this architecture and why they're the same architecture around the world. And it's not apparently by the same artist. Or I call it artist, but architecture. But they're pieces of art. And then it led me down the road of the World Fairs, which then took me to orphan trains and incubator fairs and incubator babies, and the whole movement across the Americas and Europe about incubator babies and these orphan trains, and where do all these kids come from, and just that they're made and people can order them casually, just how you go on Amazon today and just get yourself or get something from Temu. Yeah, but like a whole baby. And I was like, I wanted to wrestle with it. And then I just thought to myself, but it answers so much as to why
That's just the best
My
part, isn't it? When you
my
realize it
gr-
makes sense.
yeah, it
It's like,
just
no,
made
no, no.
sense. Yeah, it's just like I was saying, no, 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 too far, no. And then I said, but then yeah, it makes perfect sense. Like, I know there's a whole movement against genetics and we're modifying things. And I said, no, 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 no. That's just noise. We've been doing this. We've been at this. And then it took me back to the Adam and Eve story. And then it kind of justified or gave me at least a justification as to this whole why Eve came from Adam and why it was from his bone. And I was like, they've been splicing and dicing and doing cloning and all this business. And and then it just settled in that accounts to that generation. That accounts to it. And then I just let it go. I saw the information and I was just like, okay, I got to relinquish this one. That was my one. Yeah, that was mine. Anyone else?
Well, I don't think Blessed really answered. I'm just gonna say it. Like, what was you on, bro? Like, what was it for you?
He said
One of several.
Yeah, I feel it was that
Learning that this place isn't a ball flying through the cosmos, flying around other balls going through the cosmos in a vacuum, flying around a giant spiral that's also flying through the cosmos at a different angle, and all of these.
Everything is flying, but we can't feel none of it.
Yeah.
But was it like did that actually
like what was the moment? Like what was the specific
where
moment
you
where
had
it was
like issue to really
clicked?
like, because you sounded pretty happy about it, like aha, I knew it.
Well, I'd say the number one thing, like if there was ever a moment, was researching how the law of perspective works, basically the vanishing point, something I already knew from like fourth grade freaking art class. But watching footage of someone with a very high powered zoom camera just sit at a seaside, on a nice calm day, and they zoom in and zoom in and zoom in. And pretty soon you're seeing a boat appear out of nowhere. You're like, what?
Yeah.
And they keep going. And then the whole damn thing is there, plain as day, very easily seen. It's not a friggin' mirage or whatever stupid shit they come up with to explain it. It's the boat's there. And then as you zoom back out, you can watch it fade back out just like it would if it was, going away from your vision, except in, fast because you're zooming back out. But that was the first like bottom drop out. But what really sealed the deal was finding old experiments along the English Channel that further proved that point. A fellow went down, I forget his name off the top of my head, but set up flags down this channel in England. I think I don't remember the exact name of it. Maybe it was English Channel, but and set up a rowboat. Had somebody just go the whole way down and just sat there on one end with a telescope, I believe it was, and watch this guy plant the flags. And he could see every last freaking flag the whole way down. The like it was flat, like. And this thing, this waterway should have had, because they run the numbers on this, right? Like I should tested myself so many times when I was doing this, because it was like, I feel like I'm losing my mind. People are going to think I'm insane. What are the measurements actually supposed to be if I look at the curvature calculations, right? When is this supposed to disappear over this curve? And every time it was like, this shouldn't even be possible if this math is mathing the way it's supposed to math, allegedly.
Right.
So that all of that was like an overwhelming preponderance of evidence that just blew my mind wide open on that one.
So
it was too much on it.
How did you process it? Like once you got the information, like what was it for you? Like, did you accept it, or you were like, nah, or you were like still looking for like sort of like confirmation or the version of the truth as you know it, or you were like, you know what, why not? Like, what was your process for you?
Well, at that point, I was like, I've been fucking lied to. What else have I been lied to about then? Is this a lie too? Like, okay, so then I start looking at rocket launches and stuff and how rockets are skimming across firmament, if you want to put it that way. They look like a speedboat on the water. They literally, if you guys watch any footage of this, actual footage of this, you will think it's a speedboat just smacking the wake, like creating waves that flies across the like. And then I thought, wait a minute, they always have a parabolic launch too. oh, but that's for the gravity slingshot. Wait a minute. But so if that's that way, and these experiments over here are showing me I can see for infinity, basically, if I've got a powerful enough zoom, that thing's not going anywhere. Like, and then you find footage and time lapse of actual rocket launches. You can see them. They go up, they come around, then they go back down. They're just landed somewhere you can't fucking see them. That's it.
Yeah.
They're just away from the cameras. So like that built into that, the water thing built into researching rocket launches, which turned into what from there? I don't know. So many other things. Like it just started this cascading effect of like, oh, that's a lie. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. You guys are full of bullshit. This is all like, just flying down the rabbit hole. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I see
is that a
what you
more
find
verbose
interesting,
answer for you?
yeah, like I mean, I'm gonna tell you my moment personally, like where I was like, oh, snap.
Please do.
When I started questioning the idea of what we are, and if I started having this question where am I making all this shit up? Like, is that a figment of my imagination? Like, so basically, I started contemplating the idea of people that are in my life not being actually real. It's just I'm just all making this shit up. And I was like, if that it's so, that sucks. So for a while, I had to wrestle with that, and then I went that actually submit another question, and the question was like, okay, fine. Let's say, and it was a couple of years back. Well, I believe in God. Okay, but if I believe in God, who God answer to? Like, if God is outside of me, who is he answering to? Like, is he answering to anybody? Because we don't have the proof of that. So as far as I was concerned, I was like, okay, I had a Catholic background, but I was like, okay, I questioned it from the very start. But then I couldn't stop this question coming up. Like I was like, okay, but then okay, there's this God, and then we're supposed to cross over and then be with him, right? For what? I was like that. I was like, for what? And I started having like these pseudo headaches because I was like, well, then if there's nothing, like what are we doing? Like I had these big questions. So for me, like the idea of my reality, when I started asking these questions, stop. Like it didn't make sense. And I was like, I have no reference. So basically I could make all this shit up and no one can tell me otherwise either, because that means no one can take me out of this mental loop. So, but how I started questioning these things, I realized, oh, certain truths started coming in, like whether I started having downloads or certain things. So I had to kind of literally adjust myself to what reality actually truly means. So that's actually I realized that's what that was the beginning of my awakening really. And then that led me to NDEs, was starting being obsessed with it. Then all of a sudden, maybe what 10 years ago, one of my friends started talking about the idea of him finding himself outside of his body. And when that happened, he was scared not being able to come back. He came back, and I was like, okay, that, yeah, I can see why this would happen. So all these things started coming in. So that was basically where I was trying to accept the possibility of that being the truth. Because fundamentally, I did not believe what the religion were teaching. But that I had time where I had to say, okay, let me pause on this. Let me just not even think, because I started getting on the why of the why of the why of the why. This endless question, and I was like, okay, this doesn't feel good. And for a while, it did not. It really did not. Now I understand. Obviously, I have a greater understanding with experiencing out of the body and stuff like that. But yeah, that was a challenge for me. For because I was like, wow. So all of these things I'm building, if it means nothing, then what am I doing it for? Because I didn't have the information I had now. So
The
that was
inevitable
like,
nihilism. Yeah.
yeah, I
You
was
got to
like,
wrestle
oh.
with that one for a little while, huh? Yeah.
And then how are you going to talk to someone about it? Like, it's like, because
Right.
think about, from my perspective, is that if I decide to talk to someone about it, I'm again making another shit up. If that is true, that's mean I'm making this shit up again. I mean, oh, I was thinking of this. And it was like, and the response that person gives me in my mind, I was like, well, there's more of it than I'm making this old shit up. And I was like, how do I come out of this? So I had to literally like stop thinking about it for a while and then let certain information come in. But that was that for me. The idea that we all this all a big old imagination. So that literally was tough too. I'm good with it. I sorted it out, but you know, for what it was like.
The existential dread's gone. I'm fine now.
Right.
Try not to fall into depression.
Right. That's right.
Come through.
So obviously most people know my background came from deep religion. So for me, it was God as a humanoid. In religion, they teach you that God is a man sitting on a throne, dictating the affairs of the universe and everything in it. And I, again, for me, it wasn't a sharp transition because I kind of was already moving away from that because I had went from religion to kind of phasing out of religion into learning about what Shin was talking about, Adam and Eve and the Anunnaki story. And I'm like, wait, none of this shit sounds very godly. It sounds very much humanistic, right? And I remember just feeling like, okay, it's too many flaws with this whole God being a man deal. Because God seems to be very much concerned with what men think about him. And that's kind of crazy to me. That just didn't sit right with me. But again, I believed in this because this is the condition in I believe my entire life. And it was deeper for me than most because my grandmother was a preacher. I was in church, not just on Sunday. Like this was, you have a family, your biological family, you have a whole church family that you spend almost as much time with as your biological family.
You were in it up to your neck, man.
Yeah. You deep in the programming.
Yeah.
And so I always had a problem with this humanoid God, and no disrespect, but he was always white, and I was like, if God is a spirit, why he gotta be a white guy? And then I went to some other people, and they said he was a black guy, and I was like, okay, well, is he a guy at all? Like, how is he got a color? How is he even a he? But everybody's perspective of God really only comes from these books. So, nobody's seen God before. And it's crazy because in these same books, John the Baptist said no man has seen him or heard his voice. So it's like, wait a minute, something ain't matching up. Y'all saying God spoke to you, but he said no man has seen him or heard his voice because there is no him. And so I wrestled with that for like a while up until probably when my friend passed. When my friend passed, I doubled that with, okay, I also want to know what this afterlife thing is about because people dying around me, I want to see. I'm not sure I believe that people are getting sent to one place or another. So after leaving my body, that was the thing that kind of made me be like, oh shit, all that is bullshit. All of it's a lie. Like literally none of that. I didn't experience any of that. And I know I was out of my body. Like I physically knew I was out of my body. And I ain't see no God, man. And I'm like, wait a minute. If God is real, why wouldn't have God have ushered me to his throne and say, hey, what you doing over here? Or, you know what I'm saying? Why wouldn't he be like, make me do something to me for me cheating the system and coming out my body? Because if you go to the church, if you coming out your body and doing that kind of stuff, you demonic. So my thing was like, okay, cool. If I'm doing something demonic, God ain't checked me on it or nothing. He don't care. Like he just like do whatever. And immediately when I came out of body, I just knew. I said, all of that's a lie. I knew it. It wasn't even like I needed to see nothing. I just knew. I knew I was that. And that was the aha moment for me. It was like, and then because I had knew about the Anunnaki story, and then I saw Lyrans in my face, and I was like, oh shit, okay, so maybe this God man really was just a being from somewhere else, and they presented him as God in all these books because God in these books has a very human tone to him. Like I
Right.
keep saying him,
Jealous, petty.
yeah,
Yeah.
jealous. He get angry. Like,
Yeah.
why would God do any of that? Why would God even care about any of that? Why does God need to be feel like he need to be worshipped?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if he ain't being worshipped, he don't think he's God. He seemed mad insecure to me. Like you know what I'm saying? And so these things just always they just didn't sit right with me after decades of all my life of programming. And
Mm.
then to go leave my body and understand it, like, and never see a God man. Like never see a God man sitting on a throne, white hair, white beard, just and then they always used to fuck with me like, what he do all day? Like he just sit on a throne? Like what you do? Like what do you do? Like you just sit on a throne and what?
Yo,
And do
you know
what?
what? Yeah, that's exactly what my question was, because I was raised Catholic, so I did the
Mhm.
communion that you got to do
Yeah.
two communions and all this. I've done
Mhm.
like went on Wednesday Catholic school and stuff like that. Um, I mean religious school. But the thing is exactly what you're saying, Corey. That was my
Mhm.
point. I was like, what are we supposed to do? Wait, if we die, we're supposed to sit beside him and that's it.
Like
I,
we
I
supposed to
couldn't
sit
get
and
with the
sing
idea of that.
songs. We supposed to sit there, according to their books, we supposed to sit there and sing songs and worship him every through eternity. Like,
Nah.
wait, that's all we do? Like he made us to be slaves and worship for eternity.
Right.
Shit, that don't sound like heaven to me. Like,
No,
like
Yeah.
Sounds
what?
like a boring
Like,
ass
sounds
it
horrible,
campfire.
sounds like a
right?
whack ass heaven, right? Like, what are we doing?
Dude,
Like,
dude, I
so I don't get to do nothing. I don't got no free time. I got no off time.
right.
I
You
get to go do my own
busy.
shit.
You
I'm
Honestly,
busy
man,
sitting here
I
just
thought the
worshiping.
idea of just sitting on a cloud and being in whatever the hell paradise is for eternity sounded boring enough. Let
yeah,
alone sitting there like kissing somebody else's feet the whole time. You know?
right. And even if you're in paradise, how long will that be paradise before it just becomes
Exactly.
normal and you like, okay, cool, what else is next? You can't tell me, and I think most people can't understand the concept of eternity because we bound by linear time. So in our life, in our experience here, there's a beginning and ending to everything,
Yeah.
including us. So how do you conceptualize eternity where it isn't a straight line? It's literally a point in which lines go out in every direction and there's no space between those lines. That's eternity.
Yeah.
Eternity isn't a line. Eternity is energy going out in every direction there is possible with no space in between that energy. That's eternity.
Yeah, because that's
And
what
it
I was.
goes on forever. It's
Yeah,
not there. It's like,
because that's
For
Right.
an
what I was
eternity.
questioning. Yeah, because I was questioning this. I was like, yeah, okay, we're supposed to die. Fine, you're dead now. So what? So then what happened then? Okay, God, what's beyond? I was like, so I wasn't realizing it was the idea of the infinite that I was questioning
yeah,
at the time. But
yeah,
that's you talking about like
yeah.
almost 15 years ago. I was questioning this.
Hmm.
But yeah, so yeah, I don't know for you
just
guys,
as
but
just as he's
this,
talking, two other things really shook me.
yeah,
Two things that shook me. One was the true financial system, how it runs, who runs it, what a
That's a
birth
good one.
certificate, marine law versus land law, corporations instead of countries, rocked me.
Hmm.
It gave me vindication because I knew fundamentally all of this paradigm, as far as financials was concerned, was heavily rigged. I felt like it was heavily rigged and heavily, there was like a mass psychosis around it. And I felt that way
Yeah,
around
you could say that.
2008.
yeah,
And I felt like I wasn't part of it. And I literally had said to Amondi, like, am I in the twilight zone or something? Are people not seeing things for what they are? Like, these people took your money, lost it, and you're giving them more money to go get back your money. In what world?
Right.
In
Come
what do
on.
we when is that I don't trust you anymore gonna step in? When are we
I
going
couldn't.
to
I could not
say
believe that
I
people
could
just kept
not,
going with it.
I just couldn't get it, and I said, okay, no, there's something wrong, and that's when I dug in,
Yep.
and then that's when I found out about birth certificate, CQTV, all of that. So I was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But then the other one that rocked me that Corey brought up was, okay, so then there's gods and then there's beings. And then I said, well, let me go to the angel realm then. Because I'd always been having OBEs. I just didn't
Oh,
call them
this,
that.
yes.
And then I said, oh, so this is what I've been doing. Okay, so I'm not mad. Cool. Oh, so there's realms to this. Cool. So then when I went, I said, let me go to the angel realm. Because, angels, right? The good guys,
Right.
right? I'm telling you, I
Playing
spent
harps.
the whole 9 yards. Cherubims, I was ready. Okay. Cherubims. Okay, I'm gonna circle back to cherubims because that took a moment as well. But what really shook me is when I asked to go to the realms of gods, like I'm talking like the gods realms and the angel realm, and I spent a while going through now what I know are bullshit gatekeepers on the other side, people who don't mind their own business, trying to tell you got to do this and do that to get through this portal and that portal. Weeks of it, though, looking back, I did get to clear some shit up in my own life around that, but still, they had no right to tell me I can't get through. I'm through. And then when I got there, these angels are fighting, and I don't mean fight, I'm talking full blown, full armor, full
War.
swords,
Right.
war.
Yep.
You know what's funny? You're saying
I
this.
was shook. I
That
was shook. That shook me. You remember when I
yeah,
woke
yeah,
up the
yeah.
next day, I was like,
I remember.
fuck them
But
all.
then that's the whole point. When you share each other's experiences, it kind of activate another question. Like you get activated by. For me, there was a question that came up from that was like, okay, so what is the level of forgetfulness? Because we often talk about forgetfulness, uh, round one, yeah. But there's got to be a level of forgetfulness all the way through these realm, at least within the construct, in order to play for these roles to play out, how they
Mm.
play out. So there's a show at the moment like we're watching called The Sandman, and it's actually kind of like talking about the dream state and OBE and whatnot. But then when these angels get lost in the source, like they just gone so far that they begin to forget who they are as well. So they get to tripping. Some of them like get to just exercise their power, but basically they saw. It seems like basically they may not see us as an equal, so
Mm.
there's got to be, and you can feel that there is different degree of forgetfulness throughout this construct in order for these to still, play out. Now, I'm not saying for
Right. Like it's
everybody,
part of the
but
rule set, but it's just graduated as you go down further and further. You get more and more and
yeah.
more forgetful or limited.
So I was questioning that. I was like, okay, what's the degree of forgetfulness people are experiencing throughout these realms? Because you hear often people say the worst realm is realm one. It is the most distorted realm. Not really. I mean, they had galactic war and it wasn't realm one. I'm just saying. So how do you make that? I mean, war is war, right?
It's not. I don't think round one is they when I say it's the most distorted. It's not that these other things don't exist in other realms. It's just that there is more density here, and the people in round two know about what we are experiencing in round one. We don't know shit about what they experiencing in round two unless you leave in your body. They know what we've been lied to about, what we've been told by these beings. They know that religion is false. We don't know that. So when I say, and again, I don't know what other people say, but when I say there's more distortion here, it's because the frequency is lower here. Every realm you go, the frequency is higher.
Mm.
And so they have more information about us than we do about them.
Which then
So,
raises this raises
mm,
another question. Then
mm,
if you it's like if you know better, but
mm,
yet you're making the same decision that I'm making.
Right.
So you're running politics, and
Mm,
you're doing these tactical soft war,
mm, mm-hmm.
and then trying to turn one person against another. You know better.
Mm,
You actually know
that's
better
right.
than I do, right?
Right. Right.
So in terms of distortion and who's, let's talk duality here, good and
Mm,
bad, then you realize
mm,
very quickly there's an assumption that just because you're in round one, then people tend to
mm,
be worse. But I don't think
yeah.
so. I think
Yeah. I
there
don't think
is,
that's it. Yeah. I don't think so.
yeah, and I think there's that confusion between
Yeah.
the idea that just because you're going to be part of realm two and be a galactic being, it
Mm,
doesn't necessarily make you better.
correct.
In
Correct.
terms of
Correct.
yeah.
That is correct. And so to me, distortion has nothing to do with that polarity. Distortion simply means hidden things or lies. So for me, that's how when you see distortion, it means I don't see a clear view. It's distorted.
Hmm.
And so it's the absence of understanding and knowledge. That's what distortion is. They have their distortions, just not as dense as our distortion. And that's what makes realm one so unique. But that's what also makes realm one so dope, because we come into it not knowing anything, and our distortion is so great we don't know what's going on, so that we get a real experience of that which we are not. That makes sense.
Yeah,
We
I'm
now
glad you
know the meaning of the word
clarified it as
oblivious.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad, Corey, you clarified it, because I think there is. I've heard quite a lot of people saying these
Hmm.
things, like and trying to
Yeah.
like grade the level of
Hmm.
distortion.
Hmm. Yeah, and people use that word and really don't know what it means. Like people, I hear people say, "Oh, that's distortion." I'll be like, "That's not what distortion is. Distortion literally means a distorted view. It means your view is
Mm.
clouded by something." And so for us, it's lies, it's systems that have been in place. We can't understand that money is meaningless because we're distorted by all of the things that come with money. That makes
Yeah,
sense. Like we don't understand that religion is a lie because we're distorted by all these books and these histories that have been told us are real, but we don't know that they are really true at all. I've got to the point where if it ain't nothing that's on the camera that can be seen on the camera, I don't know if that shit even happened. If it even happened like they say. Like I was watching the movie Kingdom of Heaven last night. I love this movie, by the way, because I like history, but I was sitting there watching it and I was like, did these motherfuckers really fight with swords and do all of that shit? Did they really do that? Or is that really a story that they told us that happened and that's history?
Hmm.
Because I'm like, bro, who gonna fight with swords and get stabbed with swords and stuff over some shit that ain't no job, ain't no money involved, who's going to do that?
you
Like
know what?
even the concept of war now don't even is different than it was 20 years ago. Oh, we gonna put troops on the ground and shoot at each other. Nobody doing that shit no more. Cause ain't
But you know what?
nobody going to do that.
It's funny because you're talking about the soul. I mean, Shem. I mean, you've seen them like swinging them soul. But I'm like, you
Mm,
know what was my reaction? My reaction was like, hang on a minute. So you mean to tell me these dudes, yeah, or these girls, whatever, these ladies, they're here fighting in a realm, but they can't die. I was like, to what end?
To inflict pain, to bring
yeah.
about justice, to settle scores.
Right. So these people will see that as distortion, right? Or at least a level
Mm,
of distortion. But my point is
mm,
like, okay, but you doing all of this, so you do in order for you to operate from that perspective, you have to have a level of forgetfulness, which why I was questioning. Then at
mm,
that point, I was like, you got to be forgetting who you truly are in order for you to
Right. You'd
want to
have to,
even.
because why else would you do something that ridiculous? Right. Like
right.
if you
Right.
remembered, why on earth,
Why would you do that?
But
why
then
on whatever realm
we're
you're on would you do that?
Yeah.
we've assumed that they remember.
Yeah,
We've
that's it.
assumed that they remember that which we've
Yeah, that's
forgotten,
true.
and we assume that everybody's the same. We assume
Mm-hmm.
that the more higher up you get, the more benevolent you get. There's a lot of assumptions on our behalf through our own distortions.
Correct.
And then we've
Correct.
Mhm.
also assumed that everything benevolent here is you can't transmute it. That's why now everyone's like,
Yeah.
it's the money, it's the money. Yeah, but what's money in person's hands who's benevolent?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
come on,
Yeah,
because
like
not everyone's moving the same. I've seen people over like
yeah,
£10 not do the same thing over £10. Like,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you can say, oh, it's
yeah.
rich people, it's rich people. I've seen poor people do some abominable shit. Like,
Exactly.
what are we
You know why they
saying?
do that, Shim? People do that because they're not rich. If they were rich, then they wouldn't think like that. Like, let's
But
just
that's
call a
not
spade a
true
spade.
because some rich do, and it's different for everybody.
No, I'm
Because
talking about
guess
people who aren't rich
who?
now think rich people are these automatically evil
Oh
people.
well,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yes,
So
yeah.
it's
I see what you're
it's
saying. Yeah,
crazy,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
it's
Okay, yeah, I
because you're
understand what you're
not
saying.
rich. Because if you
Right.
were rich, then you wouldn't do some of these things, or maybe you would.
Yeah,
This
maybe
is
you
the
have those
thing.
thoughts because you would be
Maybe you
that way
have
if you
that
had that
same
money.
I see what you're
exactly.
saying.
People who spend the most time blaming other people for shit is because if they were in that position, they probably would do the same thing.
And
No way
guess
you think about that shit that
and
much.
guess what?
Yeah,
This
that's
keep away.
true.
This is a funny thing because these train of thoughts keep you away from being able to manifest. It actually
Hmm.
mess with your
Hmm.
manifestation process.
Hmm.
The thing is, all these assumptions. I always heard this assumption that just because someone seems to be from a certain realm, they're gonna be making more sound decision, which leads me also to think about the idea of meeting your guides. Well, there is a possibility, depending of the belief system you hold, that you guys aren't really your guide and you are misled, or because you, if they are operating from a certain level of distortion. And I know
Hmm.
the other day we brought up the idea of the life review, and do you really need a life review? Can you opt
Hmm.
out? Can you choose that? Hey, you know what? Not for me.
Yeah.
Like the whole point of exercising your power and manifesting that literally, because we do have to still be willing to question these things. We can't just
Correct.
like sit here and act like it
I
don't
see
exist.
Malekta then came off of
I
mute,
know.
so that
We,
means
we, we, we about to get off soon, but I'm going to throw one question from the audience because I think this is an interesting question is, do
All
the
right.
hell realms also belong to realm one, or is that like -1? I thought that was funny. Do the hell? You know, like hell? Because you're talking about the god realms. Is that the basement?
So I don't know that there are any hell realms. I've never heard of such a thing.
That's
Hell is a place. If you believe it's a place, you can create that dimensional
Yeah,
space for yourself.
it's of
But
your
Yeah,
own
man.
there is
design.
no hell realm, and that was one of the things I wanted to make sure didn't exist when I came out of my body. So I never seen a hell place or none. And people experience that, but again, you will experience that if you believe that to be true. So yeah,
Right.
I don't.
Which
There's
just
no
speaks to your
negative
own
one
power.
realm.
Like you
It's
created
12
it. No one
realms.
else wanted that shit. I
It's
don't know.
12.
If you
Yeah,
want it, it's
exactly.
there.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So,
Yeah, blessed. I mean,
good
I like what
question.
you're saying about your own power. I mean, people underestimate how powerful they are.
Correct.
Literally.
right.
Right.
Right. Okay.
They're
You,
the
All right.
creators.
I hate to do this, but we do have to wrap up. We will be back next week, same time. And
Thanks, guys.
just again, we
Thank you,
get ready
guys.
for our event on the 29th. So join us if
You
you
got
can.
it.
We're talking about this stuff and more. So
All right.
have a great
All
day.
right.
See you
Okay.
soon.